formerly known as Prince. He changed his name and wrote slave on his forehead because he was so angry at the music label, the record labels, because he felt like they had stolen his brand and they had rights to all of his intellectual property, and he felt kind of enslaved by them, by a contract.
Why do you use the white things?
So what's wrong with giving a musician their brand back? What's wrong with giving the creators the ability to monetize their fame? If you were to show up to a party or a charity event and you found out that everybody at the event paid $2,000 a ticket just to show up because you were going to be there, and there's a promoter that made $3 million that night, and you got paid none of it, or you got paid $20,000 or $50,000 or whatever, you'd be kind of irked. Like, why is it that the promoters and the labels make all the money and I can't make all the money, and my family's starving, or I got kids to feed, or I got my own issues, and they just seem to be riding on my tail, right? This irks people, right? So, if you created a digital token, and if 100,000 creators could issue their own token, it would catalyze a new economy. The problem, and this is what the crypto people have tapped into, the problem is there's no way to do that in a legitimate, ethical fashion. So they fall into the clutches of the crypto operators, right, who kind of victimize them. So, and you can't just take yourself public. Like, if you want to take a company public, here's the problem with that. It would cost you about $25 million worth of lawyering and accounting to get ready to go public, and it would cost you $5 to $10 million a year to make all the filings to stay public. So, it's going to be $100 million worth of cost, and you need a full-time staff of 25 people. Some large thing. It doesn't make sense for 500 rock stars and 187 chess streamers. What if one of these people on Twitch or YouTube and you're Hikaru Nakamura, right? And you're streaming chess and everybody wants to be a Hikaru fan, and so you want to buy the Hikaru token. That guy doesn't want to take himself public, so there ought to be a difference between taking a company public and issuing a token. And here's the other problem, Daniel. And this is the place where I sympathize with the crypto entrepreneurs and the digital assets community. Even if you took yourself public, even if you had Daniel Prince coin, and you wanted to take yourself public and make all the disclosures, it's still illegal to trade 24/7, 365 on a crypto exchange. Like MSTR stock is public. There are thousands of pages of disclosures. Every quarter we actually make more disclosures. We have a never-ending stream of 8Ks and 10Ks and 10Qs and Form 4s, where everything is transparent. You still can't trade MSTR on a crypto exchange. You see, so what do we have? We have a potential world. Here's the progressive world. 1 million creators issue 1 million digital tokens. 100,000 issuers create digital securities for 100,000 digital securities, including Apple and Amazon and Twitter. Even Elon Musk needs to do this. He needs to take Twitter public in order to pay the bill, right? So Elon might turn around and retake it public in order to raise the money to pay his bills, right? So there's a time when you want to issue these kind of securities. Then, there's a market for some amount of digital currencies. I don't know how many, but certainly one or multiple per every fiat currency unit. If there's 180 fiat currencies, you need at least 180 digital tokens to represent the currency. You probably need 3 to 5 in order to create competition. So that's 1,000 right there. So you could have 1,000 digital currencies. You should have at least one digital commodity, Bitcoin, the global scarcity. But if if there's another one, if China's not going to allow Bitcoin and they issue China coin, I'm still in favor of other digital commodities as a benefit to people. And then you need some digital exchanges, and you need, of course, the entire ecosystem of hardware wallets and wallets and custodians, so that people can hold all these digital assets and self-custody them and secure them with multi-factor authentication. So I've just described the grand digital assets economy that would have $100 trillion worth of assets and hundreds of thousands or millions of digital assets in that economy. And the benefit is world trade. 8 billion people can trade with each other friction-free. We cut cross-border remittance down. We open up the global economy so everyone can freely swap all of their currencies and all their assets. Low friction. We empower people with more sovereignty. Right? If you believe in sovereignty and you can hold 22 different assets in your hardware wallet instead of one, that's more sovereignty, not less sovereignty. Until every corporation disappears and every nation state disappears, there's a legitimate reason for currencies and securities to exist. You follow me?
Yeah.
Right? If there's a government in China and there's a government in the U.S., there's going to be a currency for China and the U.S. And if there's Apple and Google, there's going to be an equity for Apple and Google. And if you believe in a world where there are companies creating your food and creating products for you, and in a world where there are governments, then there's going to be securities and there's going to be currencies. And if you believe in a world where artists and creators can own their own brand, there should be tokens for them, so they can have some, how can you believe in sovereignty for yourself and then believe that Katy Perry shouldn't be able to, own some of herself, right? Why is it that, why should Apple and Google get all the money off of Katy Perry's art? Right? Because it's getting monetized on Apple Music or Amazon Music, right? So ultimately, if you believe in freedom, why not let the artists own their art? Why not let the companies own their equity? Why not let the countries own their currency? Why not let the commodities be commodities? And if you can create another commodity, more power to you, but I like the one we've got. And then why don't you let honest actors freely trade those things in exchanges? Why don't you let banks form that will give you loans against those assets and give you yield on those assets? Some will be transparent, some will be opaque, some will be offshore, some might be DeFi, some might be CeFi. Do you trust JP Morgan? For some things I trust them. For other things, maybe you don't trust them, right? But that's a progressive world of digital assets, and you would create a lot of prosperity if you did that. That's the best case. The only way that's going to happen is if the regulators in the United States lay out a framework of digital assets, and they lay out a registration process by which you can get your token, security, commodity, or currency registered, and then they lay out some rules of the road for exchanges to trade those things and what the disclosures are. And you would like to think that for less than $1 million, you could find a way to issue an ethical token, and for $10 million, you could issue an ethical digital security, and for less than $10 million, you could find a way to issue a digital commodity, and you could issue a digital currency, and there's restrictions and rules of the road and laws. And if there were, that would channel all of human ingenuity and investment into rationally creating new products, and good ones would prosper. Let's pick the story of two musicians. One musician issues a token, and they issue 10,000 or 1,000, and then they actually have meetups every month, and they treat their fans well, and all the token issuers go backstage, and people love that musician, and the token actually But the other musician issues 10,000 tokens, and then they issue 100,000 more, and they never hosted an event, and then they stop playing music and retire to just get drunk and live the rest of their life in squalor. And that token crashes, right? Because that's an example of a poorly run token operation, and the other one is a well-run token operation. You know, the same thing happens with companies, right? One company issues too much stock, and then its earnings go to zero, it loses money, and the stock crashes, goes to zero. Another company runs itself well, and the stock goes to the sky. The same story happens with countries and currencies. One country issues currency, and they run the country well, and they deregulate the market, and people move to that country, and the economy grows, and the currency stays strong. Not as strong as Bitcoin, but strong. And the other country issues too much currency, inflates the currency, makes stupid rules, passes all sorts of laws and restraint of trade, puts up huge tariffs, puts up huge capital controls, abuses their citizens, the currency goes to zero. Think Zimbabwe, right? I just described ways that nations can rise or fall, ways that artists can rise and fall, ways that companies can rise and fall.